B-Pod Studios.
This is Talkin Rock. Talkin Rock. Your backstage pass to some of your favorite rock artists. Here's your host, Meltdown.
It's Friday. As I record this, time to give you the best, well, the only two interviews I got this week with Tom Keifer from Cinderella, of course, now the Tom Keifer Band, and Brad Gillis from Night Ranger. Had a chance to meet him a few weeks ago. We'll tell you more about that in just a bit. Tom Keifer going to be going out on tour with his band and LA Guns in the Southeast Michigan area. It's September 4th at the Royal Oak Music Theater. So looking forward to seeing Tom that day. It's been too long since I've had a chance to check him out live. He's got some, I love Cinderella, and his two studio albums are fantastic. The last one came out in 2019. So is he working on a new record? We'll ask him about that. We talk about the Moscow Music Festival, where he got to hang out with Ozzy a little bit. We talk about his songwriting process. We talk about the blues. Lots of stuff with Tom Keifer to get us rolling on this episode, non-award-winning episode, I might add, of Talkin Rock with Meltdown. Tom, how's things with you, brother?
Man, rocking along, brother. We're getting ready to hit the road here soon. Rehearsals start next week, and then we'll be on a bus and coming to see y'all. Yeah,
that's right. That's happening September 4th here at the Royal Oak Music Theater with LA Guns. And, man, when I was thinking about this, when was the last time you were out on tour?
We toured last year.
Did you?
Actually,
okay.
Quite a bit. Yeah, we did we were, from Florida to the West Coast and then a whole bunch of dates in the summer. We did quite a few shows. We ended last year in August, and we took a little breather this year. We're starting up about a year to the date of when we ended last year, so we took a little break this year.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I've seen you in at least a couple of years, so it'll be good to see Tom Keifer and the boys and girls back here in Detroit. Now, as far as new music's concerned, Rise came out in 2019, and you seem like a pretty musical guy, so what's happening?
Well, it's kind of the way it always goes. Song ideas are floating around, and once you get a pile where it feels like there's an album there, you get to work and start recording. So still kind of in that collecting the ideas and kicking around song ideas and stuff. It all starts with songs, man.
Yeah. I was going to say, how big is the pile?
I don't know. It's sometimes it's bigger than you think, and that's when you go, whoa, it's time to make a record. So I don't know. I have like little things that I've sung into, voice memos and little lyrics that I've jotted down. And so, there's, I don't know. It's getting there. It's getting there.
All right. Well, it's
all kind of ideas, and then you kind of look at it and you say, which are the best ideas? And then you start to finish them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. I was in Nashville one time, and I was on my way out, and there was a record sale somewhere, and I ran into Tony Higbee at the record thing. Surprisingly enough, but how instrumental is he with helping you to record, maybe to give you ideas, maybe riffs or anything like that, or do you kind of do it yourself?
Oh man, he's been the first record, The Way Life Goes, was done with session players. I didn't have a band then, and we put the band together to tour for that. And then we became, just great chemistry. So when we recorded Rise, God, so much of that album is just live, like right off the floor. We didn't do a lot of overdubs. Tony's playing was just killer. He just played just such great guitar parts that complemented what I had, and no, he's great in the studio.
Now you
whole band is, they all really brought a lot of creativity to that record.
Yeah, both your solo records are just killer that you put out in the last 10 years. Just love them. I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up your ass. You know what a fan I am. But you just mentioned session players. You're down in Nashville. Do you ever walk Broadway and check out players? And does that give you any inspiration being in Nashville around so much music?
I would say more so when I first moved here, because I was kind of like finding a new way. It's like, the whole I moved here in the 90s during the whole change of the music scene and all. And it was just such a vibrant music scene here, and working with a lot of writers and with Savannah, who's amazing. She had, at that time, she was a staff writer at Sony, and they were also had her signed developing her as an artist. And she and I worked together a lot. So, yeah, it was really, really inspiring then. And, when we started this band, it's been a little more close-knit, Savannah and I write pretty much everything for the solo records at this point. Kendra, Chantel had a cut on the Rise record, Touching the Divine. She wrote with Savannah and I. And speaking of Nashville, Thompson Square, the country duet, they wrote Rise with Savannah and I.
Oh.
So yeah, there's a little bit of Nashville there, and yeah, Savannah and I've written with them a few times. They're good friends and really great songwriters. So occasionally there were more outside writers on the first record because I was closer to when I first moved here. Was working with a lot of different people. Savannah was too, and she introduced me to a lot of writers. So we had a lot more co-writing going on The Way Life Goes, but much less so on in terms of the resources in the town here,
Yeah, Thompson Square, I'm sure you don't talk to too many rock DJs who have interviewed them. I actually interviewed them at Michigan International Speedway here in front of about 500 people when they were like, I don't know if they sang the national anthem or did the Gentlemen Start Your Engines or whatever the case was. But, I've had a chance to meet a lot of country guys, and to a person, they're all the best people.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I was going to say all the country people that I've met, especially down there in Nashville, are all the greatest people.
Oh yeah. Everyone here in Nashville, it's just a great town, and Keifer and Sean are just really, really great. We love writing with them and working with them, and really, really love how the tune Rise came out. That was an interesting combination, the four of us writing together. So yeah, they're good folks.
Yeah, and you talk about writing and stuff. Have you written anything since you've been down there that has appeared on other people's material?
There was a song called 100 Miles of Bad Road that was on an Andy Griggs record. I think his record was called Freedom. And that's someone actually Savannah was writing with when she was at Sony. And she brought me in on a co-write because he wanted a song kind of like Dead Man's Road with the National Steel. Mm-hmm. And so the three of us got together and wrote the song called 100 Miles Bad Road, and that was on his record. I think that's the only thing that I remember, but my memory's not too good.
Come on, it's got to be better
I've
than
written
you
with
think.
a lot of people. I mean, stuff may have ended up. I think that's the only one, though, that I remember.
Come on, man.
I actually played on the record on that. I played the National Steel on it, and actually teamed up that day with Kenny Aronoff was the drummer on that record. So I hadn't seen him since Still Climbing, I think, and I walked in to play the National Steel on Andy's record on the song that he and Savannah and I wrote, and Kenny was there, so that was fun.
Yeah, that's funny how he was on Still Climbing. I forgot all about that, man. That was a while ago. Yeah, that was great. Who did you tour with? But he didn't tour with you guys. Who was the drummer you guys toured with? So I remember you came in the studio with the whole band.
On Still Climbing, it was Ray Brinker.
Okay. Yeah.
He had played with the Barefoot Servants, and he played with Pat Benatar a lot. And he also played with Maynard Ferguson.
Oh, okay.
Jazz. Yeah. He was very well-rounded drummer, had a lot of jazz and swing chops, and, I mean, he was great.
Yeah. Let's switch gears here a little bit. I know I heard you talk about Ozzy the other day in the whole Moscow thing. Did you stay in touch with Ozzy, or was that kind of the only real time you had a chance to rub elbows with him was at that Moscow Music Festival thing?
That's pretty much it. I had met him prior to that, maybe once or twice, but we all flew over there together, and we were there for about a week in the same hotel and back and forth to the stadium and all. So I got to spend, was fortunate to spend some time with him and kind of catch his vibe in person. And he was just so cool, man. And he was just, that's all I can say is he was just so cool and just amazing sense of humor. And I don't think anyone ever walked into a room with Ozzy and spent any time with him that they just didn't absolutely love him. He was just a genuine genuine soul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw this. I thought you posted, maybe it was somebody else, but were you next to him at a press conference at that Moscow Music thing? It was a great picture.
Yeah, I just posted that. I think just a few days ago. I got to. I didn't even remember that I was actually sitting next to him at the press conference, so I came across that picture. So that was like right when we got off the plane, we went straight into this press conference. It was kind of crazy. So,
yeah, what year was that?
1989.
1989. So, yeah, because your first record came out in '86, so you guys were still kind of in your infancy. I mean, that must have been just a mind-blowing experience.
Yeah, that was on the that kind of fell right in the middle of the Long Cold Winter tour.
Okay.
We had released Long Cold Winter, I guess, in '88, and started touring that fall, and we were still supporting. We did AC/DC and Judas Priest that fall, and then we started headlining the following year in '89. And the Peace Festival was in August, so it kind of fell right in the middle of when we were out touring for Long Cold Winter.
Yeah, that's wild. It's like stuff like that doesn't happen anymore.
Well, I know there's a lot of amazing gigs that go on and big festivals and stuff, but that one certainly, I think, from the standpoint of significance, I always say it almost felt like it was their Woodstock,
Mm-hmm. And when you guys went on stage, I don't recall, but was there 100,000 people there when you guys were on stage?
It was. I don't know if it was all the way full, but it was pretty full. It was. The place was pretty full. I actually watched a clip not long ago, and they were panning the audience while we were on. I saw a clip online, and it was pretty full.
Yeah,
I would say close to it.
Yeah, that must have been one of that's got to be the biggest crowd you ever played for, right?
No, not necessarily. I think Donington Festival.
Oh, okay.
We've done some festivals over in Europe that were pretty big.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Monsters of Rock festivals over in Europe in the '80s.
Yeah,
pretty big crowds.
Yeah, the Monsters of Rock over in the '80s was different than it was here, right? Because they had that tour with the 5 bands of Metallica and Van Halen, Scorpion. So you guys, was that like a different thing? I don't understand. Did they just put together just blocks of bands and you guys went over there, or how'd that work?
I don't remember. I know we were on a bill with Metallica on one or two of them. Deep Purple closed one of the ones we played over there. There were several in Germany, and then there was the Donington Festival. We played 4 or 5 over there that I remember, probably more. But Bon Jovi closed one of them. Metallica, I think, closed one of the ones we were on. Deep Purple did on one. So like each one was, they were branded Monsters of Rock, except for Donington. That's kind of its own thing. That's called Download now, but it was the Donington Festival. But the bills would be kind of different, because we did like 3, I think, in a row. There were Monsters of Rock over there the same year that the bills were slightly different.
Yeah, and now they got all these kind of festivals over here through Danny Wimmer and stuff, which is kind of cool because, and some of them they kind of bring the European template with the stages right next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've done shows with him. He's great. His stuff is really well done.
Yeah. Do you keep in touch with Eric and Fred at all?
Yeah. We're all still in touch.
Yeah, because would you ever work with Fred as far as producing a record or anything like that? I know he's done a lot of producing with Ozzy and stuff.
Fred is really talented. I don't know. I'm sure you heard the Gods of Rock and Roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, he scored the strings on that. I mean, it's just amazing. He's just really, really found a niche that he loves. He's got a beautiful studio out there, and he's done a lot of really great work. He and I are in touch a lot. He actually is the one who sent me that song. It was like probably a couple months ago, and he said, "You got to check this out." And man, I just fell in love with that song the first time I heard it. And then he sent me the video, and I was like, oh, man. It's so good. Ozzy's voice was so good on that track, and the song is so good. And it's just one of those songs that you remember it the first time you hear it, you know?
Yeah, it's great. And then I think he's doing some stuff for, like, does he do stuff for the NBA or something? He does all sorts of producing stuff, right?
Yeah, he does TV music. He does stuff for sports. He's busy. He's a busy guy.
And then what is Eric up to? I see him periodically on social media.
Eric is, I know the last I'd heard he had a couple of different projects that he was involved in musically, and he played with Bret Michaels for a while. I don't think he's playing with Bret anymore. I'm not sure. He's played with a couple of different artists, and done some session work here, I know, in town.
Yeah. And speaking of in town, I have to give you some props because I go down there every couple times a year, whatever, and I'll name drop here, but I go to Kid Rock's house, and one day I think Heartbreak Station or something was playing, and I had to ask him, I go, because he just plays music, and I said to him, I go, oh, you like Cinderella? He goes, oh, I love this band. I don't know if you know that or not.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So there's a rumor that he bought one of my National Steels from Rick Gruen Guitar. I'm not sure if that's true or not. I had one in there that actually, God, I want to say when I first moved here and I was building my studio, and I had put a couple guitars over there to finance some of the studio costs. And I think if rumor has it, he has one of my National Steels. I'm not sure if that's true or not. So maybe ask him next time.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever met him or not, but go ahead.
If it's the one I'm thinking, it's a pretty badass one. So I hope he's enjoying it.
Yeah. So I've talked about this on the radio before, but you and him are a lot alike in ways. I don't know if you ever met him before, but people, this sounds kind of idiotic to say out loud, but he is very musical. Like there's always music around him. He's super into musical history, and he's like into the blues and like all this stuff and where everything came from and yada, yada, yada. And you kind of strike me as the same way. Are you surrounded by music all the time?
Yeah, I listen to a lot of music, and I listen to a lot of, I delved way back into the roots of, the rock music that I grew up on, fortunately, when I was pretty young, just at early teens or mid-teens, I guess. Someone gave me a B.B. King record, and we started spinning it. It was like an older cat that was playing drums in a band that I was in. And I said, man, that like there kind of sounds like Jimmy Page. And he started laughing, and he said, no, it's the other way around. It's called blues. So from that minute on, I really started delving back. I was like maybe 17, I think. So, up until then, I'd been listening to, Zeppelin and Rod Stewart and, all the cool British bands that were influenced by that stuff, but I didn't know where it came from. And then, I dove into everything from Muddy Waters to Elmore James to Johnny Winter to Big Time, and other roots music too, like country. And I love Jerry Lee Lewis and the country blues ballads that he does in particular. I mean, I like the rock and roll stuff, but his country blues ballads are just unbelievable. His pipes on that and the piano playing is amazing. James Brown got into a lot of gospel stuff, and it just kind of, that one record kind of opened a whole door when I saw where it was like, oh, the bands that I've been listening to and digging, they got it from somewhere else, and I realized that it was more than just blues. Rock and roll was gospel and country and soul and R&B and blues. So I kind of just started listening to all of it. So I think that gives you an ability to interpret it your own way. I think that's a healthy thing for any musician to kind of go back into history and whatever artist you're digging, kind of listen to what turned them on and inspired them. So,
yeah, it seems like you incorporated a lot of that stuff on the third Cinderella record, Heartbreak Station, more so than the other two. Than the first two, I should say.
Well, in terms of melodies and lyric, which is what the songs are all about. Starting with the first record, it's really blues based in the melodies and the lyrics, because the lyrics are, it's everyday life stuff. It's falling in love, falling out of love, good times, bad times. It's not like singing about dragons, and it's so lyrically and melodically, even though the first record was more simple, it's still all blues based, not only melodically but lyrically too, because it's about life. And then as really a lot of the slide and blues stuff. I mean, the title track was a straight up blues song on the second record.
Yeah.
And Bad Seamstress Blues with the Dobro opening Long Cold Winter. So it kind of just the more of the sounds or styles kind of crept in, I think, with each record. Really, I think it was a progression with that. But it's always been based in blues, because it starts with a song, and people hear a heavy riff and they think, oh, he started writing with that riff, and it's like, no, the riff always comes last. The lyrics and the melody are what come first. And then that kind of dictates to you what the song's about and what kind of energy it needs. So, sometimes it's like, oh, this is a ballad. It needs a piano or an acoustic guitar or a different approach. Or this is a really angry lyric and it's aggressive, so we want a big, loud, heavy riff. But it starts with the lyric and the melody. That's the script, that kind of tells you how the movie's supposed to look and sound.
Yeah.
if that makes sense. A lot of people write the other way around.
Right.
You can hand me riffs all day long, and I'll just go, I don't know. When I have a good lyric idea, I'll write a song.
So you mentioned the first record that turns 40 next year. I mean, have you thought about that at all? I mean, do you plan on doing anything around that anniversary or no?
I don't think much about anniversaries so much. I just feel fortunate to still be out playing music, and people are still coming out and wanting to hear it, and that's really what I'm grateful for. So I don't think about that too much, really.
By the way, Kid Rock, speaking of the history and stuff, I was just telling Eric Martin this last week that he gave me the whole history of Frankie Miller.
No, cool.
Yeah, that's a guy you could probably get into.
Yeah, I'm not real familiar with. I know who he is, but it's one that maybe I would say I'm not that familiar with. But
yeah,
I'm sure I'd like it.
We'll just say that Bob Seger may have borrowed a few things from Frankie's repertoire.
Oh, did he? Cool. Yeah, I love Seger, man. Yeah, the 70s. I could name artists all day long. We just watched the Billy Joel documentary, and I forgot how much I just loved him, growing up as a kid, and the music of the late 60s and the 70s, which is when I was cutting my teeth and learning how to play music and sing and all. I mean, I could literally list artists for days, Seeger being one of them. I honestly had forgotten all about Billy Joel. And Savannah and I watched the documentary the other night, and I was like, my God, I just used to spin this stuff like nonstop, It's like, I forgot about this song. I forgot about that song. I forgot about, he's one of those. That was just such an amazing era for music.
Yeah, you're a little bit older than me, not much, but that Billy Joel stuff kind of crept into my psyche through driving around in my dad's car. Like, I didn't really listen to it. Then when I got back into vinyl, I bought some Billy Joel records, and now it's like I'm the same with you. I'm like, I love that stuff.
Oh, my God, it's so amazing. The lyrics are so amazing, and just the melodies, all of it, just great. He's a great artist.
Hey, final thing here for you, Tom. We'll let you loose. Once again, September 4th, the Royal Oak with LA Guns. So the new Spinal Tap is coming out. Do you have any interest to watch that?
Yeah, I loved the first one. I thought it was hilarious. I hope they do a great job on the sequel. I think, is this the first sequel to it? They haven't done one, right?
No, yeah, this is it. It's called The End Continues.
Yeah. Well, it seems like the longer they wait on sequels, the better they are. Because, like, the Top Gun sequel was amazing.
Yeah, that was great.
Look at how many when you wait that long, it leaves so much room for the writing for new characters. And we just watched the Happy Gilmore one the other night, and it was killer. It was great, but they had waited long enough where there could be, I won't give anything away if you haven't seen it, but there's some stuff right up front in the Happy Gilmore one where it's just like, wow, I didn't see that coming. It was great.
I love seeing all the cameos.
I'm sure the Spinal Tap one will be great. There's some pretty creative people involved with that. So,
well, Tom, you're one of my favorites from the era, from just in music in general, and I can't wait to see it coming up. Of course, the Way Life Goes and Rise is out for anyone that wants to go back and revisit that and all the Cinderella records. But we really thank you for your time, and can't wait to see you. Safe travels getting here through the Motor City.
Yeah, man, looking forward to seeing you. We're going to bring the same old big, loud, kick-ass rock show, and looking forward to seeing everybody. And thanks for having me on, and you have a great day.
Up next, it's Brad Gillis from Night Ranger. I met Brad for the first time in 2019, very briefly after his show that they opened up with Theory of a Dead Man here in Southeast Michigan, and I just told him how much I loved Speak of the Devil. So a couple weeks ago, they were playing here, and a mutual friend of mine and his, and actually Jack Blades, that's really who my buddy really knows from the band. We went and saw the show here, went to the meet and greet, and then hung out with them for a little while afterwards before they went on stage. And I told Brad once again how much I loved Speak of the Devil. And this was just, shortly after Ozzy had died. So we did some shots of tequila before the show. Brad didn't do any shots, but he was there in the toast, and he looked at me from across the room and pointed at me and kind of motioned for me to come over, and he let me strap on that guitar, that 1962 Strat that he played not only on Speak of the Devil, but throughout his entire career. And we talk about that, Night Ranger, and a ton more. Harley-Davidsons. Don't get me started on Harley-Davidsons. You can watch this interview on WRIF.com and on YouTube. It's Brad Gillis on Talkin Rock. Dude, you told me we would hook up and do an interview, and here we are. It's like the modern technology.
Amazing how that happens. You want something done, you get her done.
That's right. So good to see you, Brad. Thanks for the time here. For those that don't know, we met a few weeks ago, and I told you about my just my love for Speak of the Devil, and it was right after Ozzy passed away, and you let me hold that 1962 Strat as well that you played, and play to this day, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, that's my workhorse. I got that sanded down in a box in 1978-ish from a friend of my brother's, and he had this box and all in parts, and he said, "Hey, you want this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be cool. I'll fix it up." And little did I know that that was going to be my workhorse through my whole career. Every record I've ever played on, Night Ranger, Ozzy, everything. Took it on tour, still have it on, played every night. And it's my baby, and I know it so well. And boy, I built it up from scratch too. Leftover Emerald paint from my Datsun 240Z, and third Floyd Rose ever made in Floyd's garage, and built-in Shure wireless. And it's my Ferrari.
Yeah. And so, and I mean, you played with a metal pick as well, which I found fascinating. When did you decide that was the pick for you?
I started using metal picks decades ago. Somebody turned me onto them, and I just got a feel for it. And they're not real thick, heavy picks. They're lighter, so they got a little bit of flux to it when you use them. The heavier ones I'm not into that much, but mines are more like the thickness of a Fender medium pick. But the really cool thing about them, not only do you get a lot of bite when you really grab into them and push them on the strings, but I do a lot of string scratching, which I take the pick and I scratch it along mainly the low E string, and it gets a nice little growl to it.
Now, I didn't recall you. Do you throw those picks in the crowd?
Yeah. No, not the metal ones. I throw my yellow 3-sided plastic ones out there. But the metal picks, I'll give maybe one out. Or if I know it's like other pro guitar players and people that are, that I think might be into using them. But I got to tell you, I got a line coming out pretty soon through a company, and I'm going to be getting them out there a little more.
Oh,
with different variations and such. But the metal picks. People say, hey, they break strings. They do not break strings. they do wear them down a little bit. But my tech Darren Hurst, he changes my strings every night, so I'm all good there.
Now we were talking about Speak of the Devil, and of course, with Ozzy's passing and stuff, and when that record came out, I was like, I told you, I was just discovering rock and roll. For those that don't know, it's like that was like. Randy Rhoads had just passed away, and now this new live record comes out, and all these Black Sabbath songs I kind of knew a little bit, but didn't know very well. And of course, you're all over that record. And when do you get the call or whatever that they're going to record this record and they want you to be in the band?
Well, that's I'll try to keep it short, clip notes and everything. But as Night Ranger was trying to get a record deal back in the 1981-ish, we were still called Ranger at the time, and we were shopping a deal, and wasn't much going on here in the San Francisco Bay Area as far as the band playing out because we weren't really known. I put together a band called the Alameda All-Stars, which are a bunch of friends of mine from the Bay Area, and we just started playing local clubs because I just wanted to play. I started playing guitar when I was 8 years old, had my first band when I was 10. Playing with all seniors when I was a freshman in high school. I jumped right into club bands after high school, doing 5 sets and 5 nights a week. So I was just used to playing live, and I just wanted to play. So, I remember seeing Ozzy and with Randy playing at the Oakland Stadium back in 1981. And I went to that show, and I was blown away by Randy, So the Alameda All-Stars had put together a couple of the Ozzy two, I think it was Flying High Again and Crazy Train, into our set, and we were playing it live. Now, I'm driving up to one of the shows with my equipment in the back of my Datsun pickup at the time, and my father was a pilot. He retired on 747s, but he had a small pilot's license, and we used to fly around Cessnas together and stuff. So I heard that Randy was killed in that plane crash. It devastated me, and just to find out it was in a small craft like that, I pulled over my truck and I went, "Oh my God!" It kind of hit home, I mean, a lot of reasons, and so we decided to go up to the Lucky Lion, which was the name of the club back then, and do a little tribute to Randy and playing a couple, Ozzy tunes with Randy. And there was a guy that saw me playing and thought I did it fairly well. His name was Preston Thrall. Now, Preston Thrall is a drummer. His brother's Pat Thrall, great guitar player. Pat Thrall played with Pat Travers' band, did a lot of stuff with him. And Pat Travers' drummer at that time was Tommy Aldrich. Long story, even longer. Preston told Pat told Tommy told Sharon. So I was up really late on a Saturday night with a new friend. We'll keep it to that. It's the 80s. It was the 80s.
Yeah.
Stayed up really late and, got to bed real late. And I get this call at basically at 7 in the morning. And, "Hello, Bradley, this is Darren Auden, Ozzy Osbourne's manager. We'd like to fly it in New York for an audition." Now, I thought someone was screwing with me. I didn't believe this would ever even happen. And I'm like, "All right, who is this? Quit screwing with me." And they're like, no. She's like, no, this is Sharon. Let me put Ozzy on the phone. I go, "Yeah, put Ozzy on the phone, right?" Hello, Bradley. This is Ozzy. We'd like to fly it in New York, and I want you to grab a pen and paper and write down these songs to learn. Now, it started just shaking. I thought, this could be real. And I remember my father, when he'd be in New York and he'd call home back in the 80s, there was a slight delay on the phone. I caught that delay. Okay. Game on. I was freaking. I wish I had that piece of paper that I wrote these 19 songs down on.
19 songs?
And I had to learn 19 songs. I only knew a couple of them, and I even told Ozzy, I said, "I only know a few." He's like, "You'll learn them, right?" And I said, "Well, of course I will." My advantage was I learned music when I was very young by ear. So listening to the radio, trying to pick it out. Guitar solos from Hendrix to Page to Beck, trying to slowly pick out the solos. So my brother was 7 years older than me, had the great record collection of everything and everybody. And I learned by ear. So when I flew to New York, I was given a live cassette from a couple months earlier, which had 2 cassettes, board tapes that I still have. That are with Randy on them, that you could hear everything clearly. So Sharon set me up with a little a big boom box that played cassettes and a little amplifier, and I had my guitar, and I would just sit in my room and listen to these tapes all day and learn by ear. Um, you know, rewinding, going over it again, listening, trying to work out these solos, and they had Bernie Torme at the time filling in until they had a replacement. And 4 days in, I felt I was ready. Told Sharon, and my first show, Binghamton, New York. I think it was April 13th, 1982. Sold out about 8,000 people, whatever it was. And boy, I'm a scared kid, 24 years old, never rehearsed with the band, only doing a sound check, 7 out of the 18 songs, and Ozzy wasn't even there for that. So I was quite nervous my first night. And there you go.
Yeah, I can imagine. So how many shows did you play before you guys recorded Speak of the Devil?
Well, that was later, a couple of months later. So we did quite a few shows all over the country. I think it was later June. Of course, I joined in April. So April, May, June. So a couple of months later, actually 2 weeks into the tour, when I was just getting comfortable with everything, we played the King Biscuit Flower Hour in Memphis, Tennessee, which was a live broadcast throughout the nation. Now, it was it's a whole gig, kids, flipping me off, arms crossed. They weren't digging me. Who is this guy? You don't replace Randy Rhoads. But I just, Rudy said, Rudy was a big help with everything, Rudy Sarso. And he said, "Hey, man, you're doing fine. Just hang in there." So after the 2 weeks doing this King Biscuit gig, I did fairly well on that, and it came across good. And the sound man at the time, put my cool effects and stuff on my guitars, and nice stereo spread, and I got some good reaction from people. So after that, I started to get accepted by the audience. A couple of months in, we ended up playing the Irvine Meadows, which is that live broadcast. Actually, they filmed it for MTV and had it on VHS tapes. Remember VHS?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so that turned out real well. And then a couple months after that, Ozzy wanted to do this live Black Sabbath material at the Ritz in New York. So we did 2 nights at the Ritz and, trimmed it down to with no keyboard player. And they took the best variations of those 2 nights of the songs to put together Speak of the Devil. Now, at that time, Night Ranger trying to get a record deal too. Finally, that started coming around, that this might possibly happen. So towards the end, you could just imagine just the whole camp, everything. I'm surprised they went on with the tour, but, it was quite a somber, camp with everybody's feelings about everything that went on and just trying to get through this tour. Basically, at the end, Rudy ended up leaving to go back to Quiet Riot, and boom, huge. They came out with a bang, and I ended up quitting and coming back to Night Ranger, and here I'm 43 years later with the same band, and great success, and on tour doing 80, 90 shows a year, and sold 17 million records. So I think I made a good choice.
Yeah, it worked out well. And you guys, by the way, sounded amazing the other day. I was really blown away by how well you guys played.
Well, thanks, man. We got it down by, I figure 43 years, you better have it down.
Yeah, that is true.
We are a band of brothers. Everybody gets along. We do make the best of it. We just joke around, goof off on stage, and that exudes to the audience. And, I'm very blessed. I got to tell you, to still be around and be healthy. And of course, I've changed my regimen around too. Meltdown, dude. I quit drinking and I'm into this health kick. And dude, I'm an old man. and I refuse to go by the numbers,
Yeah, we're all a little bit older than we were back when that record came out. So overall, what was your experience? You were with Ozzy for 10 months, is that right?
Yeah, I think about 8 or 9 through the end of the year, and then when Rudy left, we had Pete Way, UFO's bass player, jumped in. We did a short European tour. And then pretty much that was it. It was all done. And Ozzy took a break. And I finished the Night Ranger record, Dawn Patrol. MTV just came out, and they threw our first single, Don't Tell Me You Love Me, on 24 on that 24/7 new video channel called MTV, and they didn't have enough content, so. Dude, they literally played us 25 times a day in a 24-hour period, which was, was great for us and the band being newbies and to put a face to the music. And we went right out and jumped on Kiss's tour. So, boom, we're right into it.
Now, this was, they still had their makeup on, correct? Or was this when they took it off?
No, they had their makeup on. At one point, I remember we put on Gene Simmons boots, and they really took us under their wing. We were the young band and the nice guys, and Gene's Gene, what a great guy, man. He showed me his Polaroid collection. Okay. but I took this picture with with his boots on and stuff, and he turned around with his back to the camera, but took the picture. It was kind of fun. But we had a great run with them, and then went right off that and went in with touring with Sammy Hagar, and then next I was ZZ Top and Cheap Trick and anybody and everybody. And then, we released our second record, Midnight Madness, which we started out with You Can Still Rock in America, which was huge, big hit for us and all over MTV. And then that little old ballad, Sister Christian. And boy, that took us to the top. I'll never forget the bookie agent said, "You guys are doing well. You're going to start doing a headline tour now." And man, we sat around and designed this whole big staging and we had all these trucks on the road and our first headline tour. And it was very exciting for us because we saw our numbers growing, our audience growing. And I think our first big headline show was pulling into La Crosse, Wisconsin, playing the Coliseum there, right? And on the marquee, it said, "Tonight, Night Ranger sold out." So we were all like, yeah, well, we all just applauded. Yeah, all right. We made the big time headlining. And we had a great run, man, all through the 80s. And,
yeah.
And then it got a little stale towards the end of the year. We took a break, and Jack did the Damn Yankees. I did a solo record. I had Greg Allman singing 2 songs on my solo record, Gill Rock Ranch. And everyone, we did other projects and stuff, and got back together a couple years later. And boy, we're just been going 110% ever since.
Yeah, I was going to say, taking that break, of course, there was a big change in music, too, in that time you're talking about. Did that help you guys out a little bit, kind of clear your heads and start anew?
Well, when that happened, we were kind of wondering, everybody, any rock and roll musician was wondering what's going to happen with, good old rock and roll. And things kind of died. But then again, there was still a place in the market for rock. But I got to tell you, with Nirvana and everybody that came out, it was a whole new ball game. And just, seeing the videos with them on it and stuff, and you're just looking, going, oh my God, it is a whole new world out there. I think guitar solos got to a point that they were just so crazy and too many notes that backing it down to simplify the new styles and sound with the Nirvanas really just kind of set up a new regime for us. And then, we just noticed little by little rock and roll just coming back into fashion. But, we're lucky enough to still be doing what we do and touring the world. We got Japan coming up, and we do these rock and roll cruises. We're all over the map, and getting ready to go back out again tomorrow and doing a week around. And then, but it's my life. It's what I chose, and I'm blessed to still be doing what we do, and still playing guitar and having a blast.
Yeah. Did any of the grunge bands resonate with you, like the Alice in Chains or Soundgarden or anything?
Oh yeah, man, I love some of those bands. I think they're awesome. It was a whole new ball game, but a lot of it was kind of downer music, and where it got a little too prissy with 80s, rock and roll with all these bands. Too many love songs back in the 80s, and they came out and they were a lot heavier. And I grasped a lot of these new bands, and I was into them too, just because it's just a whole new style of music. And as I progressed in the 90s, things got a lot better. I felt, and it's still going strong with a lot of these bands, but you got to realize that country bands, boy, that country's going stupid. It's crazy. I went to a country concert a couple years back, and 20,000 people there singing along, and I'm thinking, wow, because I was really never into country music, but now I'm kind of getting into that too. And then a lot of the pop songs these days, it's just, I could pass on a lot of this stuff. But there are bands that I kind of grab and onto and listen to, but then I got very eclectic listening tastes. In the morning I'll wake up with listen to something easy like Death Cab for Cutie or maybe even Coldplay and Empire of the Sun, bands like that, and then I'll get into I always cut music around me, man, always. Oh. And then I'll start listening to Rammstein and Seether and all these heavier bands. And another band I'm just loving right now is Bring Me the Horizon. Yep. What a great band. They remind me of a hip, new, fresh Linkin Park. So I'm into everything, man, and which is good for my musical taste.
Now, you just mentioned Damn Yankees. I don't know if you saw this or not, but when I posted our picture with your 1962 guitar online, Ted Nugent responded that you are the real deal. He said you're a solid player. What is it like to have a guy like Nugent give you so many props? And he didn't have to write anything.
Oh, I know. Well, he's a great guy. We've been friends for decades. I grew up listening to him and learning the songs and the Cat Scratch Fevers and all those songs, which are so classic back then. And what a tone he had through that Birdland, man. He just cranked those cleaner amps up so loud and the sustain and feedback that would come out of those speaker cabs was unreal. He came in the studio. We did some stuff up at Jack's house years back. Got to be a good friend. Whenever we're close to him, we either go see him or he comes sees us. So for him to graciously, give me that comment, I was overwhelmed and right back to him, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, you mentioned that Birdland and the tone, but man, the tone on your guitar is so good. I mean, after all these years, now I don't know much about gear and guitars and stuff, but does the tone ever change, or is it just it's just locked in for however long you play it?
Well, it depends on what you're playing through, the guitars, the player. There's so many factors that go within each individual guitar player's sound. Now, I've been playing through different amps, but the same guitars. I play that 62 Fender Strat that I've always played, but then I have a couple of these old Fernandez. They made 100 Brad Gillis Fernandez models back in 1985, and those, the ones I play live, they're all souped up too, built-in wireless systems. All my wirelesses are built inside my guitar, so nobody's really doing that, and I locked into that years ago. But just the different pickups and stuff, and it's all a factor of what you're going through, the different effects and such. But, having somebody like Darren Hurst as a guitar tech, the guy is awesome. He, he's been a pro guitar tech, did Frampton for years, did Joe Perry, and he's still going to do stuff with him coming up while we have some time off. But he came in and rewired my whole system, tightened everything up, got rid of the crappy effects and brought in the real stuff, the clones and the rack mount gear and everything, and shortened all my cables. And next thing you know, my sound is twice as big. So there's a lot of factors that go within the sound of each player.
Now, I watched your guys' meet and greet the other day. I think you met and greeted with about 100 people or so. How many people bring up "Speak of the Devil," or is it just pretty much Night Ranger fans, or is it just nerds like me?
No, I mean it was a huge part of my life and a lot of other people's lives, and just like your Ozzy T-shirt that you were wearing. I mean, these kids, and plus with that tragic death of Ozzy, he's become more popular than ever. I mean, Jesus. It's crazy, and I sign a lot of Speak of the Devil records, and I hear people's stories. Oh, I came and saw you here and there back in '82 and such, and it's overwhelming. But it's part of my history, and so we enjoy playing like Crazy Train at shows and stuff. And man, it's so great to see all these other bands doing these Aussie songs. I mean, even country artists and everybody are nodding to Ozzy and doing these different songs live. So, man, it's just overwhelming. I did one post right after his passing, and I've never got 1.5 million views in anything I've ever posted, and I'm just blown away about it all. But I mean, I think we'll go on playing, an Ozzy tune here or there, when we get a chance. But because it gets a great response, and we do a couple of Damn Yankees tunes also, and Kerry Kelly, our other guitar player, he had quite a few years with Alice Cooper, so we do, schools out sometimes at these shows, and you kind of want to play songs that people know instead of going too deep in Night Ranger cuts, because sometimes, especially a larger festival, it's kind of like deer in the headlights on a couple of these B-sides. So you want to kind of up the ante on in your song content.
Yeah. How did things go over the weekend with my friend Jesse James up in Sturgis there, Full Throttle?
Dude, that was a blast. We had a great time. And, I have a Harley, so I could relate to it. I've been riding bikes all my life, man. So, go up there and having the promoter, senior, his name, take us around and show us what Jesse's done to the place, which is awesome. We just walked around. I took some pictures. I might post some stuff, but great venue, great crowd, and what a lineup they have that's still going on here for the next couple of days. But yeah, man, I had a blast there, and it was a great crowd. And now we're home on a little break and back out again tomorrow.
Yeah, I didn't know you had Harley. So I have a Street Glide. I just rode to New York over the weekend and saw some of my friends and family and stuff. What do you got?
I got a Fat Boy Low.
Okay.
That's been totally revamped. I got it from they called the Bike Exchange in South Carolina, and they've closed down. But I had a 100-year anniversary before that, before this new bike, and I was kind of looking for something new, and I went into the Bike Exchange, and they had this great 2011 totally redone Harley, Fat Boy Low, and awesome looking bike. And I said, "What's the deal on this?" And they said, "Well, we totally revamped, went through the whole thing. It's all brand new parts. We had a contest giveaway, and the guy that won it was like 70 years old and never rode a bike, and he said, just give me 10 grand for it." So we gave him 10 grand, took him back in. And I said, "Well, I'm interested. How much?" And then I said, "Well, wait a minute. We're playing with Rick Springfield and the Romantics tonight. You want to go to the show?" And he goes, "Well, let me call my wife." So he calls his wife, and I hear her screaming on the other end of the phone. And I thought, okay, I'm going to work out a good deal here. I said, "Hey, man, tell you what, I'll set you and your wife up. We'll get you her. She can meet Rick Springfield, and then I'll come back tomorrow. We'll talk numbers on the bike." So they came and got them with Rick, and his wife was just, the owner of his wife was just blown away and all excited. So the next day I went in, "So how much for the bike now?" He goes, "Man, she had such a great time, and I had such a great night." I guess it worked out. And he goes, "Tell you what, man, I'll give it to you for cost for 10 grand. And tell you what, shipping only $500. I went, "Okay, that's looking pretty good." I said, I want to get some, because it had the name of the store on the side of the tank. I said, "Man, I want to put Night Ranger on the side of the tank." So we had somebody come in and repaint the tank and do the fenders and to a custom, logo and everything that I put on, a Night Ranger and stuff. And he charged me $300 for that. So all said and done, I got, less than 11 grand into this bike, and I just love it, man. But, you just gotta, when you ride motorcycles, man, this. You just got to watch out for the other guy.
Oh, yeah.
Don't ride stupid. Just keep an eye out. Be very aware of your surroundings, and it's fine. I hate being on the freeway where I live here in the East Bay and the burbs with a lot of hills. I like those rides, but I'm not into the freeway at all.
Yeah, no, I often tell people I think it makes me a better driver when I'm in my car, because I think I notice things that people in cars probably don't notice.
Yeah, that's true. But I've always been very aware of my surroundings, and being in a band and people all in my face and stuff. And definitely in a motorcycle, you got to watch it. And and then the last thing I want to even think about or worry about is something happening on my bike and spraining my wrist or something, and there goes my guitar playing. So
yeah. So do you tell Rick Springfield before this, "Hey, I'm working on this deal for this Harley. You got to help me out"?
No, I just got them backstage, and Rick was there. And I said, "Hey, take a." We've done a lot of shows with him. He's a great, nicest guy in the world, great guy, and he's a fit guy too. He's on this the fitness routine that I'm on now, and so I really respect him for that. What is he, like 75 or something?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But he was nice enough and gracious to take a picture with my friends there, and but we got some great tours happening, great shows coming up. We do a lot of shows with Foreigner, Loverboy, Brett Michaels, and I dig the festivals the best because for me, the more the merrier. But and then we're heading to Japan again. We've probably done 17, 18 shows there. My career, I went over there with Ozzy too. I went over there with my dad and my brother when my dad was a pilot when I was like 14. That was the first time I went there. But we're going back and we're playing Osaka, and then we're actually going back to Budokan, and we're almost sold out there, and that holds like 8,000 people. Everybody remembers the Cheap Trick Live at Budokan record. It was classic. So we're going back there again to Budokan. We did a couple shows there in the 80s too.
Well, I'll tell you what, Brad, I'll let you fly here. Thanks for the memories. Thanks for sharing some time with me and telling your stories. And great to connect with you. And I think I might be connecting with you here coming up on next month.
Yeah, man. Come out and see a show. Thanks for having me, Meltdown. Appreciate it, buddy. It was great to see you a couple of weeks back.
Two awesome guests, one mediocre podcast. It's Talkin Rock with Meltdown with Brad Gillis and Tom Keifer for this week's episode. Got to thank those guys for taking so much time with me as well. Looking forward to seeing both of them, both great musicians. In the meantime, we'll do it all over again next week. I've already got an interview recorded for next week, which I'm not going to tell you about right now, but I'll be posting about it next week. It's pretty cool. A bass player from a classic band. We'll just say that, okay? And who knows what other kind of trouble I can get myself into as far as interview guests are concerned for next week. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening. Share this with your friends, and check me out on socials as well at Meltdown Rocks and Meltdown WRIF.
Thank you for listening to Talkin Rock with Meltdown. You can help this podcast grow by giving it a 5-star rating and writing a review on Apple and iTunes. Plus, feel free to subscribe and share it with your friends. Until next time, thanks for listening to Talkin Rock.
Hi there, my name is Melissa Iannuzzo. I'm a 30-year radio veteran and big-time fan of the law. Chris Brown is an entertainment attorney with 27 years experience, and together, we're bringing you our new podcast, Verdicts and Vibes. Each week, we'll break down the most high-profile celebrity and pop culture cases and trials in ways the average person like me can understand. We'll have special guests and take your legal questions. New episodes of Verdicts and Vibes every Thursday. Download and subscribe wherever you stream your podcasts.